The day your life shifts is the day you stop waiting for someone else to shift it. Think about that for just a moment. How many people do you know who are waiting? Waiting for the right time, waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for someone to notice them, waiting for conditions to improve, waiting for a sign. And while they wait, life does not wait with them. The sun rises, the sun sets, Monday becomes Friday, January becomes December. And the thing they were going to do, the life they were going to build, remains exactly where it started. Untouched, unchanged, unlived, not because it was impossible, not because they lacked ability, but because they were waiting for someone else to begin what only they could begin. And here is the hardest truth you will hear today. No body is coming. Ride that again slowly, not body. Is coming. No one is coming to hand you the life you want. No one is coming to remove the obstacles in your path. No one is coming to make you disciplined when you don't feel like it. No one is coming to wake you up with purpose every single morning. No one is coming to build your future while you sleep. That is your work. Completely. Entirely. Only yours. And the moment you accept that, really accept it, deep in your chest, something shifts, because you stop looking outward for what was always waiting within you. Now think about this carefully. Most people believe their life will change when their circumstances change, when the job improves, when the money arrives, when the relationship stabilizes, when the timing finally feels right. So they wait for the circumstances to move first, and the circumstances wait for them to move first, and nothing moves. This is the trap. This is the invisible cage most people live inside their entire lives, not made of iron, not made of stone, made of waiting. And the key to that cage has only ever been in one place, inside you, not outside, not later, not someday, right now, right here. Inside the person reading these words. You cannot change everything around you. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control other people. You cannot control what has already happened. But you can control what you do today. You can control whether you begin or delay. You can control whether you take responsibility or make excuses. You can control the direction of your effort right now in this moment. And that control, that single, unglamorous, underrated power is where everything real begins. Not in the circumstances, in the decision. Let that thought settle for a second, because most people have it completely backwards. They think power comes from having the right conditions, the right background, the right connections, the right resources. And yes, those things can help. But they are not the starting point. They never were. Look at the people who built something real from nothing, not the ones in movies. Real people, people who came from difficult homes, from cities with no opportunity, from circumstances that gave them every reason to wait. They did not wait. They did not wait for conditions to improve before they began. They began, and the conditions slowly changed around their effort. That is how it works. Not the other way around. Action does not follow readiness. Readiness follows action. And the people who wait to feel ready, they wait forever. Now let's be completely honest. When you say, I'll start when the time is right, what does that actually mean? What would the right time look like? What would have to change before you begin? Most people cannot answer that question clearly, because the right time is not a real thing. It is a feeling of safety, a feeling of certainty, a feeling that this will probably work before you risk trying. And that feeling, that comfortable, reasonable sounding feeling, has stolen more potential from more people than any obstacle ever could, because it doesn't feel like avoidance. It feels like wisdom. It feels like patience. It feels like strategy. But underneath it, if you are truly honest with yourself, it is fear wearing the mask of logic. And fear will always find a reason to wait. Always. There will always be one more thing to prepare, one more skill to develop, one more problem to solve before you feel truly ready. And if you follow that voice, you will be preparing until there is no time left to act. Here is what nobody is coming to tell you. The work is yours, not partially, not eventually, not when you find the right mentor or the right moment. Right now, as you are. With what you have, no one can carry your effort for you. No one can build your discipline while you rest. No one can develop your character on your behalf. No one can face your fears and hand you the confidence that comes from facing them. These things have a price, and the price is paid only in one currency: your personal effort, your daily choices. Your commitment in the moments when no one is watching and nothing feels worth it. That is the price, and it cannot be borrowed. It cannot be inherited. It cannot be gifted. It must be paid by you every single day. Think about what that actually means. No one can study the material for your growth and transfer the understanding to you. No one can train your mind and hand you the discipline it builds. No one can do the hard internal work of changing a habit and give you the result without the process. Growth is not transferable. Strength is not transferable. Character is not transferable. They are built inside a person, through that person's own effort, and they belong only to that person. This is why shortcuts ultimately fail, not because effort is some noble ritual, but because the outcome you actually want, the capability, the confidence, the identity, those things are not the destination. They are what happens to you during the journey. And if you skip the journey, you don't just miss the destination. You miss the transformation. You arrive at a result without becoming the person capable of holding it. Now understand this. Doing this alone does not mean help will never arrive. It might. You may meet someone who opens a door for you. You may find guidance that saves you years of confusion. You may receive an opportunity that accelerates everything. Welcome all of it. Be grateful for every single bit. But know this clearly, even with every advantage, even with every form of support possible, the work is still yours. A guide can point to the mountain. They cannot climb it for you. A teacher can show you the method. They cannot practice it into your muscle for you. Support surrounds you. It does not replace you. At the end of every day, what remains is what you actually did, not what you were encouraged to do, not what you understood you should do, what you chose to do. That is what builds a life. Let's talk about something important now. Because excuses are not harmless. People treat them like small things, minor delays, reasonable explanations, temporary pauses, but excuses are a slow destruction. They do not ruin a life in one afternoon. They do it across years, quietly, consistently, one justification at a time. I am tired. I will begin tomorrow. This is not the right season. I do not have enough yet. I am still preparing. Each one sounds reasonable when you say it. Each one feels completely justified in the moment you make it. But now look at what they cost you. Honestly, clearly, the skill you meant to learn 2 years ago, the health habit you meant to build last January, the project that has been almost started for longer than you want to admit. The version of yourself you keep promising is coming, not because you lacked ability, because you consistently excused yourself out of beginning. Here is what excuses actually do beneath the surface. Every excuse transfers your power outward, to the timing, to the circumstances, to other people, to things you cannot control. You are telling yourself, something outside me is stronger than what is inside me. And when you repeat that enough, you begin to live it. You begin to organize your entire life around waiting for external conditions to align. And conditions never fully align. Not for anyone, not for the people you admire, not for the people who built what you want to build. They did not wait for alignment. They created movement inside misalignment. They acted in the imperfect conditions. They started with incomplete preparation. They moved before they felt ready. And movement, even imperfect, incomplete, uncertain movement, generates the information that standing still never can. Now let's talk about complaining. Because complaining feels like something. It feels like honesty. It feels like relief. It feels like you are at least acknowledging the difficulty. But here is what complaining actually does. It positions you as the receiver of life rather than the creator of it. Every complaint frames the situation as something happening to you, something outside your control, something unfair, something that should be different. And while that framing feels honest, it removes you from the equation. It takes you out of the role of actor and places you in the role of audience, and audiences do not change outcomes. Only actors do. The shift is not complicated. Not why is this happening to me, but what am I going to do about this? Not this is unfair, but this is real. Now what? Not someone should fix this, but I am the someone. That shift does not make the problem smaller, but it puts you back in the position where you can actually do something about it. And that position, that simple, unglamorous, responsible position, is the only one from which real change has ever been made. Now ask yourself something honest. What has waiting cost you? Not in a vague, general sense, specifically. the conversation you have been avoiding, the decision you have been delaying, the work you have been postponing, the commitment you have been almost making for months. What has that cost you? In time, in progress, in the slow erosion of belief in your own ability to follow through. Because here is something that rarely gets said clearly enough. Every time you delay something you said you would do, you send yourself a message, a quiet message, barely noticeable in the moment, but it lands, it accumulates, and over time, the message becomes a belief. I am someone who delays. I am someone who starts but does not finish. I am someone who means well but does not follow through. And that belief, built not from any single failure, but from the pattern of small daily delays, becomes the most dangerous obstacle you will ever face, not because it is true, but because once you believe it, you act as though it is. So how do you break it? Not with a grand gesture, not with a dramatic declaration, with one small, specific, immediate act of follow-through. Not tomorrow, not after you feel ready, now. Because the belief that you are someone who acts is not built through intention. It is built through evidence, and evidence requires action. One action, then another, each one small, each one real, each one a vote. Cast in private, witnessed only by you, for the person you are choosing to become. Let's talk about the seasons now, because there will be stretches of this that feel invisible. Long stretches, where you are working and nobody notices. Where you are building and nobody sees. Where you are changing, genuinely, deeply changing, and the people around you see nothing different yet. And in those stretches, something begins to speak inside you. Is this working? Am I doing this right? Why is there no sign yet? These are not signs of failure. They are signs that something real is happening, because real growth is almost always invisible before it becomes undeniable. Think about what happens underground in the months before anything appears above the surface. The work is happening, entirely hidden. No visible evidence, no external confirmation. But remove that hidden process, and there is no tree. Remove the invisible season, and there is no visible result. Your effort works the same way. The months where nothing seems to change, those months are often the most structurally important of all. The foundation being built in silence will determine everything that gets placed on top of it. Do not judge the invisible season by its silence. Judge it by whether you are still showing up inside it. And this is the thing that separates people. Not talent, not opportunity, not starting position. The willingness to continue inside the invisible season, when nobody is watching, when nobody is acknowledging the effort, when the scoreboard shows nothing yet. And still, you show up. Still, you do the work. Still, you hold the standard privately, when holding it publicly would be easy, and holding it privately is the only option available. That is where character is built, not in the moments of recognition. In the moments of silence, in the early mornings nobody sees, in the late evenings nobody knows about, in the commitment that exists only between you and the work, with no audience, no applause, no external reinforcement. That private commitment is the foundation. Everything visible is built on top of it. Now think about what you are becoming, not what you are achieving. What you are becoming, because achievement is an outcome, becoming is a direction. And direction matters more than position. A person who is genuinely moving, even slowly, even imperfectly, even without clear results yet, is in a fundamentally different position than a person who is standing still in comfort. The moving person is accumulating experience, capability, evidence of their own ability to persist. The still person is also accumulating, but what they are accumulating is the quiet weight of unlived potential. And that weight grows heavier with every passing year, not because of failure, because of the gap between what they know they could be and what they are allowing themselves to become. So here is where it all comes together. Nobody is coming. There is no rescue, no perfect alignment of circumstances, no external force that will make this easier, cleaner, or more guaranteed. That is not a reason to despair. That is a reason to move. Because if nobody is coming, then nothing is actually blocking you. The path is not locked. You are standing still. And standing still is a choice, which means moving is also a choice. Your choice available right now. Not contingent on anything changing first. Not dependent on anyone else deciding to help. Not waiting for the world to rearrange itself in your favor. Just a choice, made right now by you. Responsibility is not a burden. People treat it like one. But responsibility is the only thing that gives you real control. The moment you say, "This is mine to handle," you stop being a passenger. You become the one making decisions. You become the one determining direction. You become the one whose choices actually shape what happens next. That is not a heavy thing. That is the most powerful position a person can occupy. And it is available to you right now, not after the circumstances improve, not when the timing is better. Right now, in exactly the conditions you are currently in, with exactly the resources you currently have, starting exactly where you are. Now think about discipline, not as punishment, not as restriction, as a bridge between the person you are today and the person you need to become. And that bridge is built one plank at a time, one morning at a time, one decision at a time, one moment of choosing the hard thing over the comfortable thing, repeated, quietly, consistently, across months and years, until the bridge is solid enough to hold the weight of everything you are building. Discipline is not something you either have or don't have. It is something you build through repetition, through the small daily choice to act in alignment with who you say you want to become. Not once, not when you feel like it, every day, even boring days, even difficult days, even days when nothing feels worth it and the result feels impossibly far away. Especially those days, because those are the days that build what the easy days never can. Imagine a version of you that does not wait, that does not delay, that does not look for reasons why today is not the right day. A version of you that simply begins, consistently, daily, without requiring perfect conditions or guaranteed outcomes. That version is not a different person. It is the same person making different daily choices. The gap between who you are now and that version of yourself is not talent. It is not luck. It is not circumstances. It is a series of small daily decisions, made consistently over time, that compound into an entirely different life. And those decisions are available to you today, not someday, today. Here is what unstoppable actually means: not fearless, not perfect, not free from doubt or difficulty or the occasional desire to stop. Unstoppable means you continue anyway, not because it is easy, because you have decided that continuation is non-negotiable, because you have stopped treating your own commitment as something that requires ideal conditions to maintain, because somewhere along the way, through the invisible seasons, through the unwitnessed early mornings, through the private moments of choosing effort over comfort, you became someone who simply does not stop, not dramatic, not loud, not heroic in any visible sense, just someone who keeps going, who shows up, who does the work, day after day after day, until the results become impossible to ignore, until the life being built becomes impossible to deny. So take a moment. Be honest with yourself, not harshly, not with judgment, just clearly. Where are you waiting? What are you delaying? What version of yourself are you postponing? And then understand this. The waiting ends when you decide it ends. Not when circumstances change, not when fear disappears, not when someone arrives to make it easier. When you decide, that is the only mechanism. That has always been the only mechanism. Nobody is coming, no rescue, no sign, no perfect moment. And that is not your misfortune, that is your freedom. Because the life you want does not require anyone's arrival. It requires only your decision, your effort, your daily, private, unglamorous, completely irreplaceable commitment to the work. Start now, not when it feels right, now. Because now is the only time that has ever actually been available. And it is enough. It has always been enough. No excuses, no waiting, no more handing your future to conditions that will never be perfect. Just you. Just the work. Just the life that gets built. Brick by brick, day by day, choice by choice. When you finally stop waiting for someone who is never coming, and start becoming the person you were always capable of being.